Welcome home, darling.
Yes.
Oh, Jacques. I want to understand what is happening in our house. For several weeks, you come home late, you smell like alcohol almost every night, and you spend some nights outside without even explaining where you were. I do not recognize the man I married anymore, and this situation hurts me deeply.
Rose, I know my behavior has changed, and I will not pretend you are imagining things. I have been going through a very difficult time lately.
You talk about pressure as if I were a stranger in your life. I am your wife, and I share this marriage with you. If something is destroying you inside, you should talk to me instead of disappearing in bars and coming back drunk. I feel abandoned even though I'm supposed to be the closest person to you.
Right now, I am very tired. I need to sleep.
My God, I think I would rather go to Charlotte's invitation with her friends. That will still be better than staying here alone and sad.
Rose, I am really glad that you came despite everything you are going through right now. Since the beginning of the evening, we noticed that your eyes look heavy and that you only smile to please others. We know you well enough to understand that something is wrong in your heart.
I'm going to be very direct with you because friends are meant to tell the truth even when it hurts. A man who suddenly starts drinking a lot, disappears at night, and changes his attitude often hides an affair. I don't want to hurt you, but we have seen this scenario far too many times.
Rose, you spent more than a year wondering why your husband refuses intimacy with you. Now he spends his nights outside and comes home drunk? It is possible that the reality is simpler than you think. Maybe he is looking elsewhere for what he does not want to build with you. I hear the three of you and your words hurt me deeply because they touch exactly the fears I have been trying to ignore. One part of me refuses to believe that my marriage could be this fragile. But another part of me is beginning to wonder if I have been living in an illusion for too long.
Rose, no one here is telling you to destroy your marriage or take revenge. We simply want you to open your eyes to your own value. You are a woman who deserves to feel desired and respected. If your husband cannot give you that, you should at least allow yourself to experience moments where you feel alive.
There is someone you already know who has always looked at you with a lot of admiration. Do you remember Elise from university? He truly wanted to get to know you, but at that time you were focused on other things. Today you could simply talk to him like an old friend.
You know very well that Elise was not just a potential friend. He had feelings for me, and I chose not to encourage that. If I start seeing him again today, even just to talk, I cannot pretend the situation is completely innocent.
Rose, listening to someone who admires you and who has known you for a long time does not make you a bad person. We are not asking you to betray your husband. We are simply telling you not to close yourself off to a conversation that might remind you that you are still an interesting and vibrant woman.
Hello, Rose. I hope I'm not disturbing you. You must probably be surprised to receive a call from me after all these years.
Who do I have the honor of speaking with, please?
It's me.
Okay, I see, but where did you get my contact?
I got your number from Charlotte. She also reassured me that you have mine.
I hadn't saved it?
She told me that the two of you met again recently and that it made her happy. When she talked to me about you, I remembered all those years at the university and thought it might be a good idea to reconnect.
Elise, I have to admit your call surprises me a lot. It has been so long since I heard your voice that I needed a few seconds to understand who was on the phone. But I will be very honest with you from the beginning to avoid any ambiguity. I am married today, and my life is quite complicated at the moment. I don't think it would be a good idea for me to start meeting former friends from campus in this kind of context. I prefer to be clear right now so that there is no misunderstanding between us.
I completely understand what you mean, and I respect your situation. I did not want to make you uncomfortable or create a problem in your personal life. My intention was simply to see an old classmate with whom I shared many interesting moments at university. We studied together, worked on projects together, and had conversations that still come back to my mind sometimes. For me, it would simply be an opportunity to talk like adults who once knew each other in another period of their lives.
I'm not saying this against you. I'm simply speaking about myself and my current situation. If we were ever to meet one day, I would prefer it to be in a clear context where my husband is also present. That would avoid any strange interpretation and keep everything respectful for everyone.
I respect your decision. And I certainly don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position. If you prefer that we simply stay in cordial contact without seeing each other for now, I can accept that. My call was not meant to complicate your life. I simply wanted to know how you were doing, and to tell you that I was happy to hear that you are well.
Thank you for understanding my position. I sincerely wish you the best in your life, and I am glad to have heard from you. But for now, I think it is better if we simply leave it at this exchange. Have a good day.
Hello? What brings this surprise visit? Sit down.
I don't want to sit down. I just received a call that made me deeply angry, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
Elise just called me saying that you gave him my number and told him to contact me. I would like to understand why you decided to share my contact details with someone without even asking my opinion. You know very well that I am married and that my situation is already complicated enough.
I understand that you are surprised and maybe even angry with me. But before jumping to conclusions, I would like you to listen to me calmly for a few minutes. I did not betray you, and I did not do this to put you in an embarrassing situation. I simply thought that contact with someone who has known you for a long time might do you good during a time when you seem to be carrying a lot of sadness on your shoulders.
Charlotte, it is not up to you to decide what is good for me in this matter. Let me make my own choices.
You speak as if I pushed you into betrayal or into a trap. I only suggested one very simple thing. I suggested that you talk with someone who already respected you back then and who had a lot of admiration for you. I never told you to do anything that could destroy your marriage.
I don't want to get involved in that kind of situation. When a man calls a married woman to suggest meeting, there is always some implication somewhere.
You are living in a marriage where your husband has refused any intimacy with you for an entire year and now spends his nights drinking and disappearing. Yet you continue protecting this situation as if it were a perfect model while your own heart is slowly breaking. Do you really think that talking with an old friend over a drink is the worst danger facing you today?
What you are saying is hard to hear, but that does not change the fact that I am married and that I must respect certain boundaries.
I am not asking you to become someone else. I am simply asking you to give yourself some breathing space. A conversation with Elise does not mean that you will betray your husband or change your values.
You know very well that Elise was not indifferent to me back then. If I meet him today, he might think I am opening a door for him. I do not want to send that message if I am not ready to deal with the consequences.
Years have passed, and people change. Nothing says that he still feels the same today. Maybe he simply wants to talk with an old friend and share memories from campus. You are building an entire scenario in your head before even having coffee with him.
I admit that maybe I am dramatizing the situation, but I simply want to protect what remains of stability in my life. Everything around me is already fragile, and I do not want to add another complication.
Then consider the meeting as something simple and neutral. You can see him in a cafe, talk for an hour, and then go back home. If you feel the conversation going in a direction that makes you uncomfortable, you can simply stand up and leave. You are an adult capable of setting boundaries.
I will think about what you just said. I promise nothing because I must be honest with myself before making that kind of decision. But I recognize that your intention may not have been as bad as I imagined when I answered my phone.
That is all I ask, Rose. Think about it calmly and make the decision that feels most right for you. If you decide to see him, do it simply as a friendly meeting and nothing more. Sometimes a simple conversation can bring more clarity than we imagine.
Okay.
Rose, I have to tell you that I am really happy you finally agreed to come. When I hung up after our first call, I thought maybe I had insisted at the wrong moment that you would never want to see me again. When Charlotte told me you were going through a difficult period, I simply remembered the person you were at university. You were someone who knew how to listen to others and who always had an intelligent way of looking at things. I thought that if we could talk like before, that alone would already be a good thing.
I must admit that I hesitated for a long time before accepting this meeting. I almost canceled at the last minute because I kept wondering if it was really a good idea. My life has been quite complicated lately, and I did not want to put myself in a situation that might create even more confusion in my mind. But in the end, I told myself, why not? It is just a conversation between two former acquaintances.
I completely understand that hesitation. Adult life is full of responsibilities and delicate situations. When we were students, things seemed much simpler. We could talk for hours on a bench on campus without thinking about all the possible consequences of every word. Today, each of us carries a different story, and that makes meetings a little more serious. But deep down, I am still the same person who enjoyed talking with you during breaks between classes.
It's strange that you say that because I was thinking about those moments on my way here. I remembered those afternoons when we talked about everything and nothing, the projects we imagined for the future, and the endless debates about the books we were reading. Back then, I believed life would follow a very clear path. Finish studies, build a career, get married, and everything would naturally fall into place. Today, I realize reality is much more complex than what we imagined.
You know, I often wondered what became of you after university. I knew you were very determined, and I never doubted that you would build something solid in your life. When Charlotte told me you had married, I thought it was probably a beautiful story because you always had a very sincere way of loving the people who mattered to you.
My marriage has been very different from what I imagined. When we are young, we believe love alone is enough to solve every difficulty. With time, we discover that human relationships are far more fragile and require a lot of effort to maintain balance. I am not saying this to complain about my life, but simply to recognize that things do not always unfold the way we once dreamed.
Thank you for speaking with such honesty. I do not want to enter into details that do not concern me, but I can hear in your voice that you are carrying many things inside you. You have always been someone who keeps her emotions to protect others. That is an admirable quality, but sometimes it can also become a heavy burden.
That may be true. In recent months, I often felt as if I were walking alone with thoughts I could not share. When Charlotte suggested seeing you again, my first reaction was to refuse because I did not want to open a door to the past. But now that we are sitting here, I realize that talking with someone who has known me for a long time is more comforting than I expected.
I'm glad to hear that. To be honest, I did not come here with any specific intention. I simply wanted to see again someone I have always respected and with whom I shared important moments of my youth. Life separated us for many years, but some human connections never completely disappear.
I must admit that this conversation makes me smile for the first time in a long while. When I came here, I thought I would be tense and defensive the entire time. But talking with you gives me a sense of lightness I had almost forgotten. It reminds me that I used to be someone who laughed much more easily.
Then I am happy to have brought that smile back. If this meeting can simply remind you that you are still capable of feeling joy and peace, then it already has great value.
After this first meeting, Rose believed she had simply rediscovered an old friend with whom she could share a few memories of the past. She thought that occasional conversations could not possibly disturb the fragile balance of her life. Yet the meetings continued. One coffee became 2, then 3, then long walks where memories of campus blended with confidences about the present. Elise was attentive, present, and deeply respectful. He listened to Rose with a patience that few people had offered her in recent years. Rose began to discover in him a warmth that contrasted strongly with the silence and distance that had settled into her marriage. Over time, that closeness began to awaken something she had tried to keep asleep. She was a woman carrying a deep lack of affection and intimacy. For months, she tried to remain faithful to her principles and to the image of marriage she wanted to protect. But the line between friendship and desire can be fragile. One evening, that line was crossed. What was meant to be a simple, friendly meeting turned into a relationship Rose had never wanted to live. She knew that what she was doing was not faithful to her values, yet she found herself trapped in a powerful inner conflict between her conscience and the needs she had long suppressed. And even after crossing that line, Rose did not find peace. Each meeting with Elise brought her closer to the pleasures she thought she had lost. But every return home reminded her of the fault she now carried in her heart.
My God, what am I doing? Have I fallen this low? Me? Being unfaithful in my own marriage? How did I end up here? For years, I tried to be a faithful, patient, and understanding woman. I endured my husband's silence, his refusals, and the distance that settled in our intimacy. I convinced myself that love had to survive every trial and that my role was to protect our marriage even when I felt alone. Yet, it only took a few meetings with a man who truly listened to me for all my certainties to begin to shake. Elise did nothing extraordinary. He simply looked at me as if I still existed. He spoke to me with respect and made me feel that I was still a woman capable of inspiring desire. I know what I did is wrong. Every time I think about the moments I spent with him, a part of me feels a pleasure I had not known for a long time. But another part of me feels a deep shame. I opened a door I never wanted to open, and now I find myself struggling with a desire that returns every time I think about him. The most painful part of the story is understanding why I fell into this trap. It was not only Elise's attention that attracted me, it was the emptiness my husband left in my life. For so long, I waited for him to look at me like a woman and not like a silent presence in his house. Now I find myself between two mistakes: to remain faithful to a marriage that leaves me empty, or to continue a relationship that makes me lose the respect I have for myself. And I no longer know which part of me will eventually win.
Rose, I feel that you have been tense since the beginning of this meeting, and I do not really understand what is going on in your mind. The last times we saw each other, there was a natural closeness between us and an ease in talking about everything. Today I have the impression that you are carrying a distance that I do not recognize. When I tried to kiss you, you reacted as if I had crossed an invisible barrier. I need you to explain what is really happening, because I do not want to hurt you or lose you because of a misunderstanding.
Elise, I will be honest with you, because I do not want to continue playing a role that no longer reflects what I feel. What is happening between us has become dangerous for me. At the beginning, I thought our meetings would remain simple and innocent, like old friends reconnecting after several years. But the reality is different, and I can no longer ignore what I feel when I am with you. That is precisely why I must put distance between us.
I'm listening, and I am trying to understand your point of view, but I have to tell you that your reaction surprises me a lot. We have shared sincere moments these past weeks, and I thought we were both aware of the attachment that had grown between us. I never forced you to do anything, and I believed every step we took toward each other was a choice we both accepted. Now you are telling me that all of this has become a mistake, and I do not know how to interpret this change.
It is not a sudden change, Elise. It is a realization I should have had earlier. Every time I return home after seeing you, I look at myself in the mirror and I no longer recognize the woman I have always tried to be. I am married, and even if my marriage is going through a difficult time, that does not give me the right to build another relationship in the shadows. I cannot continue down this path without losing the respect I have for myself.
I understand that your marriage has an important place in your life, and I never wanted to push you to betray your values. But I also feel that what we shared was not just a temporary distraction. There was sincerity in your words and in your eyes that I cannot ignore. When you tell me today that we must stop seeing each other, I feel like you are erasing part of the truth we live together.
The truth we live together is exactly the reason why I must leave now. If I stay in this relationship any longer, I know I will end up losing myself completely in it. You are a good person, and I do not want our story to become something shameful or destructive for either of us. That is why I prefer to stop here before things become even more complicated. There is my husband, who has come home drunk again and is sleeping without even paying attention to me. My God. Even though I feel like telling him the truth, I do not even know where to begin. Besides, he does not even have time for me. But what is happening to me? Why am I suddenly feeling nauseous and dizzy?
Hello, madam. You are perfectly fine. You have nothing abnormal.
Really?
Yes. The tests clearly show that you have been pregnant for 6 weeks, madam.
What? Pregnant? 6 weeks? My God.
Is there a problem? Madam, is this an unwanted pregnancy?
Doctor, I must tell you that I am completely surprised by what you have just announced to me. I absolutely did not expect to hear that I am pregnant. My married life is going through an extremely complicated period, and I do not know how to interpret this news.
I am here to listen if you feel like talking with someone.
I think I need to go home.
Oh, they have already arrived. I'm very happy to see my little family again.
Hello, Elise.
What are you doing here, Rose? I did not expect to see you here today.
I have information you need to know, and it is urgent.
What now? You said we should stop, right? What is it again? Sorry, you must leave quickly. Otherwise you will create problems for me.
I am pregnant with your child, Elise.
What? That is not possible. This is very serious.
I am just as shocked as you are. I never imagined this scenario. I do not even know where to begin to describe what I feel. Part of me is terrified because my life is already fragile. And this pregnancy adds a reality I was not ready to face. Another part of me feels immense guilt because I know this situation is the direct consequence of the choices I made these past months. Why are you silent? I need to know if I can count on you to face this situation honestly.
Rose, I will speak to you with complete sincerity because I do not want to lie to you at such a serious moment. There's a truth I never clearly told you, and I know you will probably resent me deeply when you hear it.
What are you talking about?
I have been married for several years, and I have a family that I never left.
What? My God, are you telling me that all the time we were meeting, during all those conversations where you looked at me as if I were a special woman in your life, you were already married to another woman?
Stop it. Do not act as if you're not married too. I was just helping you feel better.
So it was a lie from the beginning.
Stop it. Do not be ungrateful. I did you a favor. You should thank me.
I hate you. I cannot believe what I just heard. A few minutes ago, I thought my life was already complicated enough. And now I feel like the ground is disappearing beneath my feet. I have always tried to be a righteous person, a patient wife who respects her commitments. But today I carry within me a truth that I do not have the courage to say out loud. How will I look my husband in the eyes with this truth in my heart? How will I continue living in this house pretending everything is normal when every beat of my heart reminds me of what I have done? Good evening, darling.
Good evening, darling.
You are very well dressed tonight.
Thank you. I have an invitation, and I was waiting for your return before leaving.
All right. It is probably related to work.
Yes, you could say that. And you? You were at the hospital, right? I hope it is nothing serious.
Maybe I should tell him immediately. Maybe the only way to find a little peace is to stop lying.
Well, I have to go now. I might be late.
But when I think about the pain this truth could cause, I feel like my words will destroy what remains of our life. I am ruined.
But how could you make such a mistake?
But you encouraged me, did you not?
I never asked you to sleep with him. You are a woman of faith, a Christian as far as I know. If it were me or the other girls, that would be understandable.
Well, At least you enjoyed yourself. It is not that bad. There is only one solution now. Get rid of that pregnancy quickly.
What? May God spare my mind from such an absurd and wicked thought. Do you really see me doing that?
You have already done worse, my sister. It was just a suggested solution.
Keep your suggestions to yourselves. It is not you, it is me. I am the one who accepted your words from the beginning. I have learned my lesson.
Rose? Oh no. You should not have thrown her suggestion in her face like that.
How should I have said it then? Let her go.
How could I accept the advice of these girls? They are not an example at all for the Christian woman I am supposed to be. How could I associate myself with people who do not even share my faith? A call from Mark? Yes, hello?
Rose. I am calling because something serious happened, and I did not know who to inform first. Jacques and I went out tonight, and I must admit the situation quickly got out of control. He drank a lot, and I asked him several times to stay and not drive in that condition.
Okay, but what happened? Why do you sound so upset? Tell me what is wrong.
Jacques insisted on leaving despite everything I said. He got into his car, and...
And what?
A few minutes later, I received a call from the police. Jacques had a serious car accident.
No, not that. Oh my God. But where is he? Where is my husband?
You should calm down, Rose. I am also waiting for the doctor's update.
Calm down, you say? You are the one who taught him to drink until he developed a taste for it. You destroyed my husband.
Be careful, madam. Your husband is not a child. I am also saddened just like you.
You are still talking? I will jump on your neck.
Easy, madam. No one is going to die here today. We are all working to save your husband. It is true that his drunken state does not make our task easier. It is difficult to anesthetize him because of the slow effect of the medication. But I can reassure you that he will recover.
All right. I wanted to choose the perfect moment to speak. A moment when we would be calm and able to listen without destroying each other. But life does not always give us that kind of opportunity. It strikes while we are still hesitating. This secret burns my heart, and I have a terrible fear that I may never again have the chance to look him in the eyes and tell him the whole truth. May God have mercy on my husband. Oh my God, look at what you have become.
That is life.
Is it true what the doctor just told me? That you will never be able to walk again?
Yes.
I am really sorry.
I am the one who opened the door that destroyed me. Rose, there is something I must tell you before life continues its course. For a long time, I carried a silent shame about my own weaknesses. I let you believe that my strange behavior came only from stress or the difficulties in our marriage. But that is not true.
Calm down and rest, please.
No, you must know the truth. If I am still alive, it is a grace for me. I want to take this second chance that life has given me. For a while, I tried to escape my frustrations by taking refuge in alcohol, and even worse, I began having intimate relationships outside with other women. I finally understood that reality caught up with me. I should never have accepted this marriage. It was the mistake of my life. I accepted because everyone said it was the will of God. And because I did not want to disappoint my father. He was the one who wanted me to marry you, not me, because in reality, I never loved you, nor desired you. I thought feelings would come with time, but I was wrong.
Hearing those words deeply shakes me because I finally see the man you truly are behind all these years of silence. I understand your suffering, and I also understand that we both built this marriage on truths we never dared to face. But there's something I must tell you as well. I cannot judge you for your mistakes because I also made a mistake.
You did nothing to me. On the contrary, you endured everything.
No, I also cheated on you, Jacques.
What?
Yes, I let someone else enter my life. His name is Elise.
Your former classmate you told me about.
Yes, the one you refused to meet. At first, I believed we were simply two old friends meeting again to talk. But over time, I allowed this relationship to cross a line I should never have crossed.
That is unbelievable. I cannot judge you either. I am the one responsible. You were suffering in silence.
But that is not all.
Oh, what else?
I am pregnant with his child.
And this is how this story ends. Jacques faints when he learns about his wife's pregnancy despite his condition after the accident. In life, great falls almost never begin with great visible sins. They often begin with small things that we tolerate in silence. A decision made without conviction. A truth we prefer to avoid. A compromise we accept to preserve the appearance of peace. But the Word of God clearly warns us that the one who sows to the flesh will reap corruption from the flesh, and that each person is drawn away by their own desire when they allow themselves to be tempted. The problem, therefore, is not only the sin that someone commits one day. The real danger is the sin that we allow to grow inside us, because what we tolerate today always ends up taking space in our life, and what we allow to grow often ends up dominating us. That is why the wisdom of God calls us to walk in truth, to speak with integrity, and to never build our lives on silence, lies, or compromises. Now, the question is no longer for the characters of this story, but for you who are watching me. If you were in their place, what would you do today? What decision would you make? And above all, what truth would you choose to stop tolerating in your own life? Share your opinion in the comments. And if you are new here, do not forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you do not miss our upcoming publications. Thank you for your loyalty, and may God bless you. Bye.